Rolling into another Friday night here at the Stafford Motor Speedway and Bonssa Tufa, all 5 of our weekly divisions will be in action. And for the late models, they're going to double down.
Yes, it's a makeup event from a previous rainout, one of several we've had this season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the late model drivers handle having 2 features in one night. It hasn't happened since I've been at Stafford, at least. So how do you approach it? First feature, you want to win, but how much risk do you take? Because you don't want to tear up your car. Not everybody has 2 cars. Some have 1. So if you wreck that car, that might be the end of your night, and that's a lot of point that you may lose. And it's a tight point battle. Kevin Gambacorta, the point leader, expanded his lead last week. Now it's up to 20 over Paul Verrecchio Jr., who had a couple issues last Friday, but you know who didn't have an issue? Daryl Keene. He had that big wreck back in Week 2 after winning Week 1, got the car put back together. He's been solid, came close a couple times to winning, got back to victory lane on Friday, his 2nd win of the year, his 2nd multi-win season in his career, the first coming back in 2018. It's the best we've seen Daryl look this season out of all of his seasons in the late models. Now he's back up fighting up front, and what better time because you got double features and a 50-lapper coming later on this year.
So if you're a believer in momentum, Daryl Keene has it on his side right now. This Friday night's a good time to have that momentum with 100 points on the line, and you mentioned points a moment ago. We're at that point of the season where we're going to start to focus on that a little bit more.
We've already focused on them for the past few weeks because we have a lot of tight battles, but when you have double features, 100 points, as you mentioned, it could swing in a big way where guys like Chris Meyer, Cliff Saunders, these guys who are 90 to 100 points back, if they have a good night while Verrecchio and Gambacorta have problems, that could slash that deficit in half. And then from then on, you still got 5 more events to boot. So this Friday could be a really big night for somebody, whether it's back-to-back wins, the big picture in points, or just bragging rights in general.
So close championship battle in the late models, 2 features this Friday. The street stocks have an incredible championship point battle. The top 6 in points all changed positions last Friday night, and we have a brand new leader coming into this week.
What did I tell you last Thursday with our preview? A lot can happen in that street stock division. It all can change in one night. Well, that's exactly what happened because it looked like Travis Hydar was going to pull away in the end after Travis Downey, the point leader last week, got caught up in an accident. And then Hydar had a flat tire because of the contact in that accident with Downey, so he fell out of the race, and Tyler Trott came home with the victory, capitalized on other people's issues, and it gave him the point lead. Not by much. Jason Lafayette is right there, and of course Downey and Hydar, they're within 1 race behind as well, and Jason Raymond has snuck up there as well. I cannot wait to see how this pans out for the rest of the year because it's just twist after twist. It's a lot like last year between Waterman and Hydar. A lot of twists, but this time instead of 2 drivers being involved, it's 6. So who knows what's going to happen. But Tyler Trott is back in victory lane, his 2nd win of the year. It took him 6 years to get back into victory lane earlier this season. Now he's got 2 in 2024. That momentum is there. They just got to keep it forward, but it's really hard in this division as we've seen.
Who would have thought the 8-time winner this season, the division's all-time win leader, Travis Hydar, 4th in points and 28 back?
Well, we've run 13 races. He has 8 wins. 4 DNFs, and that other race, he got spun from the lead on the final corner of the final lap and finished 10th. So all or nothing, it's fun to get those wins, but it's frustrating when you have those lows. And in the big picture, it does you no favors. Downey has 1 win, but he's been very consistent. Lafayette, I think, has the most top 10 finishes this season. That's why he's 2nd in points. The wins are nice, but it's a mix. You got to win and stay up front. 4 DNFs, that's a lot for Hydar. We don't see that often from him, and it's just minor things. Tire issues or a mechanical problem that take him out. If he can finish the races, he can be up there battling for a championship, but now he's 28 points behind. So not only does he have to stay up front, he needs a little bit of help from the other drivers.
Speaking of tight championship point battles, the limited late models have one as well. And last Friday night, the 3rd repeat winner in Napa Victory Lane for that division this season.
Kevin Cormier has had a bit of a rough stretch leading up to last Friday with getting caught up in incidents, getting penalized, geysers of water coming out of his car overheating, but this past week he started 2nd, got past Lavoie coming off of turn 2 on the outside, and never looked back. So his 2nd win of the year, coming back to the limiters at 14, really has not missed a step. He's been fast week in and week out. For the most part, just hasn't had as much luck as they were hoping for compared to last year when they won 4 times. In the big picture, Matt Clement, a good run. Even with a tire deflating at the end of the race, he still managed to get a good run, and he expanded his point lead from 4 to 10. It's not a huge lead, but with how tight this field is, Devin Jensic had a bit of an off night. He was not up there battling for the lead whatsoever during that 20-lap feature. But that's what we see in that division. You could be a hero one week and then a ninth-place car at best the next. So we'll see how it alternates week in and week out. Who's going to get the edge? Will it be Jensic one week? Will it be Clement the next week? It's back and forth. Again, consistency is key. For Matt Clement, he's got to stay close to Devin Jensic. But Matt also loves to win. He wants that title, but he needs more trips to victory lane as well. And what better way to expand that point lead than to win the race?
Absolutely. Max points for Matt Clement potentially here this Friday night. A driver looking for max points for the first time this year. The defending champion finished second last week, so he was close.
He is. And
Jeremy Lavoie.
Yes, Jeremy Lavoie came close, got a second-place run. He's gotten more podiums lately, so the consistency is there for that 6 team, as we normally expect from the 3-time champion. But he's going to be really done with us. Once he gets that first win, he is going to just brag about it and give us all the crap in the world because of it, because we just talk about it every Friday night, how he hasn't gotten the victory lane yet. We have 10 different winners this season, and the defending champion is not one of them. When is it going to come? Who knows? Is there a better chance that he will win than he won't? Yes, but he's got to win. So we'll see what Lavoie can do. He's been up front more often in recent weeks. The car is getting better. They've just struggled with the setup on a consistent basis, which we're not used to seeing from that 6 team, but he's going to be up there battling for the win. He just got to put all 20 laps together. Easier said than done. That's just a testament to how tough this division is, Kyle, that even the 3-time champion, defending champion, isn't in victory lane yet. I don't think that's a detriment to him as much as it is how everybody else has caught up and how everyone else has been so fast this season.
I'm not sure you'd make a very good odds maker, Bonssa.
No, I don't do odds. You tell me what the odds are.
I have no idea. But the odds are good that he's going to win, but he has to win. I laughed. Speaking of winning, Amanda West finally got that first win in the SK Light Modifieds, one of the more popular wins we have seen at this racetrack in a long time.
That crowd ovation was loud. Even the guys in the trailer said they could hear the crowd ovation over the cars. That's saying a lot, but that's a huge win for Amanda, her father Rory, that entire 15 team. They've been racing for 6 years, almost 7 now. Over 100 starts, finally got the monkey off their back. But when you look at the last several years, you can see them improving each season from 2020 to 21, 22, 23, now into 24. And we've seen her fight more often for the podium. And I think your mention of her last week also gave her an extra shot of good luck too. But yes, we said don't be surprised if you see her up front battling in the second half of the year. And then 1 week later, she wins the dang thing. That's her first career win, the 693rd different winner at Stafford. You could see the emotions on her face when she climbed out. It's like relief, but just the euphoric feeling of finally being on top, getting that victory. Josh Morrison getting second. He congratulated that team because they have a connection back in karts, but he had his best career finish again in the SK Light Modifieds, that huge runner-up finish for them to keep that momentum forward, back-to-back top 5s. Nick Hovey, DNF the previous couple weeks, back on the podium with a third-place run. Not in the championship hunt really now, being down 6 in points, but you never know. Tyler Chapman, his worst finish in a race that he has finished, 5th. That shows how good that 41 is. He still has a really big point lead, almost 100 over Chris Matthews. Not the run he was looking for, but still a top 5 starting 15th, nothing to be ashamed about.
A 96-point lead for Tyler Chapman heading into the final quarter of the season. You mentioned Amanda West, tied for 3rd in points for Amanda, so having a career there as well, but I'm not sure anybody's going to be able to catch Tyler.
But we've seen big point swings before. We still have several weeks to go. We still have big car fields for the SK Light Modifieds. You can go from a 100-point lead to literally 52 in one night. Is that going to happen? It's going to be hard to have back-to-back DNFs, but when you're starting 15th every week, a lot can go on in that field.
With big fields and a lot of points at stake for the SK Light Modifieds. And in the SK Modifieds, a new winner to that division a week ago, a driver that we have watched kind of grow up here on Monday nights and come up through the ranks, in Stephen Chapman.
Yeah, and he had to hold off Austin Beers, who is one of the biggest modified young stars in New England, to get that win. He even got a shot from behind by Beers with a couple laps to go. But Chapman held on despite the car starting to fall off a bit. And that was his first win at Stafford in 3 years. His last victory was the SK Light Invitational back in 2021. He was stoked, to say the least. I mean, that's a big win for that team, the Chapman family overall. We've seen Tyler have success here, but Steven, the first Chapman to win an SK Modified feature at Stafford, he said it best. We are SK Modified winners. I mean, he was pumped because this division, everyone will tell you it's the toughest weekly division in short track racing across America. Mikey Flynn, when he got his first SK win, he said the same thing, the toughest division. So when you win an SK modified feature, holding off guys like Beers, Todd Owen, Keith Rocco, Christopher, these guys who've been around for a while in the modified world, that's a massive accomplishment. So congrats to that 14 team. I remember back in open practice seeing the time charts and realizing Steven was like third quickest. And I thought, wow, that 14's got some speed. Week 1, got a podium. So it was always there. They just needed it to come together, have the right luck, and it was going to end up in victory lane, and that's what we saw on Friday.
Our 97th different winner in the SK Modifieds, closing in on that 100 mark, which could come here in the next year or so. Andrew Moeller, still the championship point leader, quietly, consistently doing his thing with that 85 team.
After a couple terrible runs outside the top 5 that were still top 10s, he got back in the top 5 last Friday, and Corey DiMatteo got back on the podium as well. So Moeller got to expand that point lead over Jarvis and Christopher. Christopher did not have a good run at all. He was outside the top 10 along with guys like Keith Rocco and Mikey Flynn. Very surprised about that. But again, sometimes you'll be a little bit off and fall outside the top 10 because of it, because the field is that tight. Corey DiMatteo, that's a big podium run for him because he had been outside the podium since he went 3 in a row in victory lane back in May. So Moeller, yes, he expanded a point lead. It's over 30 points, almost 40 now, if not 40. But he still wants to win. That team still wants to win. But at least they're going in the right direction after a couple, quote-unquote, off nights for that 85 team. And the second half has been their biggest struggle, no matter who drives that car in the past 4 years, getting through that second half and getting the results you got in the first half of the season. So far, so good, and that's why they're the point leader.
Moeller takes a 44-point lead into this Friday night's action over Mike Christopher Jr. in the SK Modifieds. All 5 championship battles fairly tight as we head into the final quarter of the season, and it continues this Friday with twin features for the late models. All the action gets underway just after 6 o'clock here at the Stafford Speedway. And then, like always, if you can't be here, you can tune us in on Flow Racing.